Hey guys. Sometimes it's hard to find the right words to say. To explain, I guess, how you're feeling, to explain a moment, to explain a season of your life, even. I used to turn this camera on always and just have all this energy to share and all this energy to like motivate and all this energy to inspire. And it's like I almost negated a part of myself that needed to sit and reflect and really just like come to terms with who he was, and I guess coming to terms with the reasons of my desires, or the beginnings of my desires, or the methods of my desires, and seeing how pure they were, and seeing how, I guess, what conditioning were they coming from, and all these different things. It's like, I think it's easy to run around through life thinking you're doing the right thing, thinking you're making progress, taking tons of action, and then realizing that none of that was guided, none of that was aligned, none of that was, full of purpose, full of intention. Yeah, I also realized that that's also part of life. Like a season of life is to go out and experiment and try things and like dip your toes in the water. I still think that's super necessary, but I think it's also important for us to reflect on the fact that it's easy to be misguided, and it's easy to delude ourselves, and it's easy to keep ourselves busy instead of like taking the time to like really just take a step back and just like reflect on who we are and why we're doing what we're doing. I think it's like, again, we justify things to ourselves, others justify things to us, and I don't think we're really honest with ourselves in our pursuits. And it's like we get caught up with doing things for the money, we get caught up with doing things for other people, and we get caught up doing things for our own selfish desires, when if we really like sit with ourselves for a day or two or a week, we would have realized that's like, I actually don't want to be doing this. It's like being okay with the silence too is another thing. Is it being okay with like not knowing where to go and like listening to that? Sometimes it's like scary for us to be like without action, without direction, without busyness. Hard for us to sit still in this crazy world, isn't it? It's like with our phones and our social medias and our distractions, entertainments, Netflixes, whatever it may be. So how often do you really just get to sit with yourself and do nothing, and maybe just like not force the next thing to come up, but rather just like allow it to? Right? I read something recently on one of a podcast, or listened to something on a podcast recently. It was talking about how most of our life has been lived through this feeling of adrenaline, and what would our lives look like if we started to live life through a feeling of alignment, to a feeling of inner peace and truth. I think I lived a lot of my life out of adrenaline, and maybe you are too, and maybe you are seeking or searching for like a different kind of way of life, learning from what you've already put out, not shaming it, not being like, oh my god, what have I done, but just like, maybe there's something else available here, maybe there's something else that's available for me here. Even with these videos, I used to just like think I need to keep talking, and I think I would just say things to say things sometimes. And I think it's important for us to like really hone in to the truth, the intention of what we're saying, what we're feeling, what we're speaking.